Good morning, everyone. We'll start our lesson two. During our last lesson, we learned about what is meant by procurement. We discuss about the contract management, and we discuss about the risk. So we said risk is the probability of happening something, and we mentioned the contract. They need to be offered. They need to be accepted. We learn about different model, EU model, and various other, the model. We had a discussion in the previous lesson. So today lesson will go through our LO2 learning outcome 2. Please can you log in on Moodle and we'll go through our LO2 learning outcome 2 and we'll start in just 2-3 minutes. Anybody any question, please? If you have, you can drop me email anjum@ukversity.co.uk and I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as possible. We'll start. Okay, guys, so please log in on Moodle. We'll start in 2 minutes. Okay, guys, please log in on Moodle, and on Moodle we've been given a unit, which is Unit 2, Procurement, Risk and Contract Management, as we discussed in the previous lesson. We had a discussion about unit specification during last lesson. We discussed, okay, guys, quite good, please. We have a book here. We have these various books on management, project, mega project, NHS e-procurement strategy, and green public procurement. That's quite good and we have some journal article that's quite good to look around, which we can. Okay, so today lesson will go through our LO2 learning outcome 2. Okay, we'll start. Thanks for joining. Okay, so today lesson will go through LO2, which is be able to critically evaluate the procurement, operating environment, and legislation. So key legislation we'll go through in terms of credit, in terms of goods quality, sales good act, waste storage, and all other legislations. Those are very important to go through. Environment, which is we look around operating environment where we operate. Environment always carry on changing. So what we need to do, we need to be look around, when we look the environment, like think about, the national minimum wage recently being changed to, we had a various other changes in the new political party in power. So that's, that we can look around the environment itself, overall global environment. We have a lot of conflict, within throughout the global conflict, war in Ukraine and various others. So we need to be in a procurement perspective. We need to look around the various, the sanctions against countries, UNO charter, and the procurement legislation and all, these are control list of the goods. Those good to be look around. Those will go through in a minute. Okay. Assess the impact of the legislative framework on the procurement in the public and the private sector. Critically assess the role of the European Union in the procurement. That's which we'll look, Okay, evaluate the importance of establishing the contract procure and the rules and applying the financial regulation. So we have a 2.1 assessment criteria, which will go through assess the impact of the legislative framework, the procurement in the public and private sector. public sector is mean the companies owned by the government, and private sector like Morrison, Tesco, Asda, Unilever, these are all private sector companies. So the key framework in the procurement, Public Service Social Value Act, we have a 2012, community rights challenges, localism act. So first you have to look around the things you can buy from the locally instead of you buy from abroad. The Freedom of Information Act. Anyone who like to ask about the information about any company can collect the data and can use, so if you would like to look around how much stuff you bought from abroad and from which country under the freedom of a company, as long as not a sensitive information, not again the public interest of the country, then of course they have the right to disclose, and you have a right to ask. General Data Protection Regulation 2018, which is further implemented in few section 2019. So we can look around the Public Service Social Value Act 2012. The Commission are required to be considered the economics, environmental, and social benefit of these approaches of procurement before process start. So we can look around the public authority, pre-procurement stage, and service contract. Contract, the term and condition is very important. We had a discussion during our last lesson as well. In the UK, 40% of GDP is the public spending, and around 30% is external spending, 150 billion. Early scoping. So subject matters of the contract is clearly greatly reduces basis for the challenge. Wider market management, engagement and management, and we can look around the social requirement in the contract specification must be verification clearly within the scope of payment. So we can look around, it's easier for small businesses in for consortia bit consortium. That's, we have a localism act, 2012, decentralization, giving away power to the individual, professional and community, and right to challenge, right to bid, and neighborhood planning. So big society, people, neighborhood and community have a more power, responsible and use create better service and outcome. Okay, so community right and challenges localism, autonomy of the local government, freedom of general power, competencies, greater control of finances, freedom for cities, governance, accountability, freedom over the government structure and transparency, power community, right with asset of the community value, right to challenge, right to build, neighborhood plan. These all, the right being delegated to, and they can do the procurement. So Freedom of Information Act establishes the principal public right to know, required the public bodies provide the information when curate by like if you want to as a government UK where they buying the oil under the and how much oil is coming from which country under the Freedom of Information Act we have a right to ask, which we can collect the information. Okay, so certain information in exam public bodies to respond within 20 working days, although this deadline can be extended in the certain limit. It can be up to 40 days as well. And so key principle is the purpose blind, no need to be give the reasons for requests. Applicant blind, all the requests must be treated equally. That's, which we can. Freedom of information, some revelations, yes, which we the government agreed that 1.5 million bailed out one of the most troubled schools in the flag up academy program 10 days before 2005 general election. Minister and MPs claimed the thousand of the pound in the taxes as the part of 5.9 million is expense for the travel. So foreign diplomats, who have the diplomatic immunity were accused of rape, sexual assault, child abuse, and murders while working in the UK. The UK supported the Israel nuclear weapon program back in 2010, heavy water in 19. So these are all, if you're looking the procurement side, you can look around General Data Protection Regulation 2019 regulation, which intend to be set in unify the data protection for all the individual within EU, apply all member state EU, and enterprise processing personal data from EU citizen needs to be GDPR compliant. So like after 2018, if you log in any website, you have to accept the cookies, and then of course, that's the new GDPR, General Data Protection 7 principle, which we can look further in within, but data can't be excessive, data can be true, data can be secure, irrelevant data shouldn't be collected. Okay, 4% worldwide turnover, 20 million, whichsoever is a high. Data Protection Act old was 1998 and new is 2018. Okay, General Data Protection 2019-18. That's because some section been updated in 19, but actually it came in force from 25th of the 5th 2018. So penalties. 21 euros for annual worldwide turnover, which is 4% annual turnover, those not follow. Okay, applicable worldwide, yeah, as long the organization store personally data. So data can't be moved outside the EU without the permission of ICO, Information Commission of Data breaches reporting within 72 hours and enhance, the right of information and right of forgetting. So these all, then 2.2 critically access. Anybody any question please regarding one? If you have, you can ask, and otherwise those are listening, please drop me email anjum@ukversity.co.uk. I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Critically access the role of the European Union in the procurement. So what is the public procurement? Refer to the process by the public authorities such as the government department or the local authority to purchase work, goods and services from the company which have selected for this purposes. Building a state school, purchasing furniture for the treasury office, contracting cleaning services for the railway station. EU procurement directive is set out, which we can look around. The legal framework for the public procurement, they apply when the public authorities and utilities seek to acquire the supplies, services, or other work. They set out the procedures which must be followed before, awarding contract when its value exceeds set, threshold. The purpose of the procurement directive is to open up the public procurement market and ensure the free movement of supplies, services, and the work within EU. That's the EU rules reflect and reinforce the money. So government really want to be, when look the government procurement is, we need to be, because it's a public money, end of the day, we need to be look around the value for money, because that is very, very crucial, because using the money and multiplying its value for money concept. So when you do data to EU policies planning, so budget the project, yes. Tenders, you give the tenders and award the tenders on the basis of yes, evaluation. Then you make the contract with the signed contract, agreement, implementation, payment, progress, all need to be in making, enabling. Yes, so strategic planning, we need to be enabling competitive tendering, we need to be enabling, we need effective suppliers. Enabling is the cost analysis, enabling which result based, how much been and how much payment. EU relevance, better, strategic planning. We need to be easier agree. We need to look around these. Yes, guys. So we can look around these. Hope you can see the slide. If you have any question, please you can ask, which we can go through. EU relevance, yes, information about the contract implementation must be meaningful picture of effectiveness and efficiency. Public can see, they have a right under the Freedom of Information Act, how much be in this project, to whom awarded, and what basis being awarded, how the tender being accepted. So remedies directive are the core, the public procurement legislation enable the economics operator in for the right, the conferred by the public procurement directive everywhere in the EU. Required that seen on the contract are falling into scope of the public procurement. directive taking in the contracting authority may be reviewed effectively and quick. That's, is quite crucial because, unfortunate in the developing country, a lot of waste of the resource because the contracting and the corruption and the bribery are happening. Establish the minimum EU review standard in the most of the provision remedies directive are the mandatory and minimum conditions to be satisfied by the review procedures established in the national member state, may introduce the condition that go beyond the lay down remedies. We can look around the remedy directive main features, availability reviews, procedures, material scope, what personal scope, who and time scope when. So pre-contractual interim measures need to be set aside the decision unlawful by we can look around the standstill period and automatic suspension of the contractual ineffective if we have alternative penalties and compensation damages. So yeah, the next legislation is very important. Public contract regulation enable buyers to run the procurement faster with the less red tape, with the greater focus on the right supplier, the better tenders according to the sound of the commercial practices. That is key, because efficient, using the money effectively, that is quite crucial. Financial threshold, if you are buying supplies, so we can look around, how many people and the committee need to approve it before, because it's a public money and not one person do all the big contract. Avoid to there can be a conflict of interest with family, friends, and all close relative, or you have an investment in those companies, the contract awarded. Public regulation, clear scope to precare engagement, clear obligation to prevent, identify, and remedies the conflict of interest, as we mentioned earlier, electronic availability of the document, self certification, European single procurement document, and duty to comply reports and cabinet office. So then next we have 2.3, evaluate the importance of establishing the contract procedures and rule and applying the financial regulation. Anybody, any question, please? Okay, overview of the procurement. Identify the need, outline the procurement plan, select the supplier from the supplier registered list, issue the RFQ requisition, which we can, and then tender the evaluation and contract term, supply management. You need only buy what you need it, warehouse management, asset management. That's like medicine, how much we require, how often we require, not buying too much because maybe expired. So need identification, budget identification, and purchasing strategy can be. So project plan, identify the project, identify the civil work, goods or the services, identify the procurement method which you directly in localize, overseas and indicative date of tenders, look around, indicate delivery, implement, complete and section of the supplier. So acknowledge the needs of the supplier, sourcing, determine the criteria of the supplier, sourcing, identify the source of potential suppliers, shortlist the supplier from selection pool. So first you need to be registered if they meet the criteria on your supplier list, then from the supplier list we can pick, determine the methodology, access, evaluate the supplier, evaluate the select supplier, contract the agreement with the selected supplier. Okay, then RF, we can look around, request for bid, invitation, prospective supplier bids, yes, services, RF, request for information, gathered information to the potential supplier, major purchase. Of course, if you're buying this from the supplier, they involved in the child labor and the working condition, and then it come in the media that can create, like back in 2012 we have a BA systems, and it was in the panorama. It came, like back end making aeroplane for Saudi Arabia and giving commission to some prince. That's, that can be, but we need to be look around the information and best interest of society and not breaking those legislation, because we have, it come under the bribery act back and paying commission to someone like GFK, GlaxoSmithKline used to pay the commission to the doctors if they recommend their medicine, is being accused and being fined. So request for the proposal, the document posted is bid, yes, potential vendors. specify evaluation criteria and use the complex projects to boost the competition. Okay, RFQ, which is request for the quotation document code of the product and surface sheet, itemize list of the prices, all RFT, which is request for the tenders, invitation supplier to submit the seed bid, is specified to receive and time frame, and usually expected common and legally standardized structure. That's we need to be very crucial, in any to meet the legal requirement. Next, we're looking the evaluating criteria, the selection of the economics and the financial standing and the technical and professional availability. You're buying the thing, but you don't have an installation people to install the things first of all. Then what's the point to buy it first? The stage you have to do the full feasibility study before, this qualification stage, this criteria for the rejection of the suppliers, what we have, what basis we're looking there, financial statements, sound mind, how many other companies they have reference, and how many countries first of all they are supplying the good. Selection stage, the selection stage of the suppliers who are the capable of fulfilling the requirement. This stage, we can avoid on the basis of lowest accepted price, the most economic advantages, tenders. We can look around the contract management. We had a discussion in last lesson as well. The stage one is the request, input, contract scope and milestone, and the goals and the output documentation, and the stage to generate the input, contract request document, contract draft. Stage three, negotiate. Yes, and the playbook. And stage four is approval, complete, the contractor. Stage Then next stage six, capture the signed contract and tag the document. Stage five is comply, searchable contract and traceable terms, and look around report. Stage eight, the track the term and condition and set the result, and the custom export like import and export. And we can look around if we involve, and then it's a review and amend report, update amended list if anything need to be changed in the term, like a price section, quality check, quality audit, and any other legislation within that. And then of course, you can look around deliveries and the contract and renewal. So these all the key terms under the contract management, which we can in the e-procurement. Asset management, asset inventory, we need to be look around. Inventory means stock, three type of inventories: raw material, work in progress, finished good, installation and testing in procurement, monitoring and performance, and replacement of asset and life. So some asset is a life, like after 5 years asset expired and shouldn't be used. That's we can look around the short life asset, long life asset. These in the warehouse in the procurement is very important. We should be included these, and that's very important. We'll have the clearly the life of the asset, so asset can be replaced on time and can be managed accordingly. Okay, so today lesson we learn about e-procurement. We discuss about different legislation, GDPR, localized, legislation 2012. We discuss about EU legislation on procurement. We discuss about contract management and inventories and stock. Okay, so that's all from my end. Anybody, any question? Okay, guys, if you have any question, if you're listening this recording, you can drop me email anjum@ukversity.co.uk, and I will try my best to get back to you as soon as possible. So we all here to yes, help you to achieve your qualification. And next lesson, before we finish, I quickly show you. And the next lesson we'll go through our LO2. We did LO2. Next lesson we'll go through LO3, learning outcome 3 as the unit specification. What will be LO3? So please, before joining next lesson, if you can look around what we are going to do in the next lesson. So our learning outcome 3, which is about understand the management, procurement and operations, will 3.1 key principle, category management, which will go through ERP, enterprise resource planning. That's which will key procedures to pay these different system RF. Yes, the previous three targets and requests, requisitions, all will be in our discussion and explain the various ways. So please, if you do search, look around within the book, write down these terminology, and the next lesson will go through our LO3. So thanks for joining today and hope I'll speak to you during next lesson. Thanks.